right, y'all, give me just a moment to get the word out and then we will get fired off. I'm going to get the spout off and I'm going to get the post out. Hello, Tuesday. Let people know that we are live and we're going to get this party started, whether the chat fills up or not, as we always do. Welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles. I am your host, Kalari GXC. We are live. It is Tuesday, March 21st, and I was hoping before I got this party started that I was going to be able to pop off and have good news and stuff, but the reality of the situation is it's not really a joyful occasion no matter what happens. I know that if you can see by the title here, what I'm going to open up with is something serious, but it begs to explore why certain people feel like they can skirt the law or do whatever they want. Greg and I was talking about it earlier how the Chappelle show did a skit about how certain people can do criminal things and our justice system bends over backwards to make it convenient for them. And even if I wanted to get excited about this potential Trump indictment, which the state of New York very well could indict the former president today on charges of bribery, adultery, and other things that he did with Stormy Daniels, who is a very credible person in this incident, who the Mushroom Dick himself said he had relations with, though you shouldn't hold it against him for that. It is a messy situation that the state of New York has found themselves in. And even this article has people, oh, I'm so worried about, the fallout of indicting him. And it is such a frustrating topic. And welcome to the chat, Beans, that I don't get joy from this. And it's not that I don't want to see the motherfucker in jail. That is my dream. I think there's a lot of us who feel that way. For the people that we've lost over these last few years from the preventable pandemic, to everybody that man has ever done dirty because he's been a crumb bum all of my life and before that. But when I say the wheels of justice are not going to turn the way we expect them, I want people to remember that. Even if you wanted an actual perp walk of that weirdly tanned, old, rotten corpse of a motherfucker, there is a better chance that he is going to turn himself in with dignity. Because when you have a certain amount of social standing and supposed money, even though we know he cooked those books, you are treated differently. You're treated differently than a kid in a hoodie, just minding his own business in his neighborhood that happens to have black skin. You're treated differently than the poor white people in the wrong place at the wrong time. When you are a rich, societally accepted white male, you can hand yourself and negotiate the terms of turning yourself in. When you are literally a domestic terrorist like 45 is. So no, I don't feel joy at the news of the indictments. I'm just happy that the wheels of justice haven't stopped because all the doomsayers wanted to cry that. The last year, and even last year too, has been people, oh, it's not going fast enough. He's going to get away with it. It's like, you don't understand how justice works. He doesn't even understand because he's petitioning the state of Georgia, the only state that was engaged in shenanigans anyway. I'm going to get to that in a few minutes too, because I am totally behind Shay suing motherfuckers for the trouble that she and her mom went through doing their jobs as poll workers. But Trump is appealing to the state of Georgia to try to stop the state of New York, not understanding that that's not how that works. You're not going to get Georgia interfering with New York's indictments. Sorry, not sorry. But this is why I laugh at these articles that are trying to make this man seem more powerful than he is. Outside his stupid bag of tricks that nearly cost us an election with the January 6th invasion, that people are literally feeling the fallout for. Four or more of his little oath keeper buddies go on down. More than likely going to go down for a few years. They might not get the maximum 20-year sentence, but the fact that the charges that they were indicted and convicted on carry that heavy of a sentence should be a wake-up call for some. The rest are too busy huffing cow, the wormer, and other non-viable stuff and dying from COVID still. This is not the lot of people that they were even 2 years ago, ready to storm the Capitol for this idiot who has left them behind, who is begging them for money every time they back him up. Even if you sign that newest petition to help Trump not get convicted in New York, you are committing to giving that man 3,000 of your hard-earned dollars for it. He is a grifter. And I don't understand how much more he has to squeeze out of the people who still believe in him. But it gives me a bit of schadenfreude to watch his dumpster fire of a career, his continued failure. That gives me more pleasure than any thought of supposed justice, because justice has always been different for rich people. Justice isn't going to be as satisfying as a TV show makes it for us. He is going to get to walk with his head held high like he's done nothing wrong, pretend to be the victim, have total dignity that most people who are accused of crimes don't get. Even people who are falsely accused are treated with way less respect than this dipshit who is literally on. We've got factual proof of his insurrection. But it's fine, because the wheels of justice, unlike the doomsayers have tried to say, have not stopped. And the state of New York, under Tish James, you know that black woman that you tried to call a manager on, a few yous have, she didn't stop. She didn't stop going after his tax fraud. She didn't stop going after these bribery charges. She didn't stop going after the adultery charges, because she knew there had to be something that could stick to that pile of goo. And we finally got something. And I know it's not going fast enough for some people. The indictment's not dropping quick enough. That is not how this works. You need to learn patience. You need to understand that even if an indictment drops, it doesn't mean the conviction can happen too. The wheels of justice are slow. And it's even worse when you have money to tie shit up. When you have lawyers that can fancy their way out of actual justice being served. We have to do this the right way. And he's not the only one feeling things, y'all. I was excited about this news. The fact that the ICC has issued a literal arrest warrant for Trump's little old buddy, Putin. They're tired of it. You can't just invade a whole nother country for your weird, arbitrary, oddly moralistic, for certain things like targeting the LGBTQ, but ignoring all the craven things that your wannabe dictator is doing. The fact that the ICC has literally called Putin a war criminal, has issued a warrant, which means no more sitting up there in summits acting like you're a serious power. No matter what Xi Jinping is doing currently, because I hear he's over there trying to stroke his old commie buddy's ego. I know they want to try to formulate a coalition of us versus them, but your them is falling apart because your them keeps invading innocent sovereign nations for no good reason and getting your ass whipped because the Ukrainians aren't taking his bullshit laying down. But the fact that this motherfucker kidnapped thousands of Ukrainian children, and God knows what's happening to those kids right now, is a serious offense that not a lot of people were talking about. The ICC having to put this arrest warrant down because there are literal children involved in this investigation should give people pause and should make more people call for this man's arrest. He is a war criminal, and I am excited that it feels like karma, though slow for some of us, is finally starting to get around to saying, you know what, y'all had your fun. You spread your poison, you spread your hatred. You got a lot of people mirroring your shit, echoing your shit, yelling your stuff, wearing hats with your stupid slogans on it. But in the end, it's stale. It's not going to sustain us, and we need to move on. So y'all need to get out of our way, because progress is going to keep happening. But we're also going to take you in, because kidnapping kids is not okay. Bribery and insurrection is not okay. I know right now everything I'm saying is speculative. But the fact that we've even gotten this far where arrest warrants are being issued, where indictments are being dropped. If you had gone even 6 months back, all the naysayers, the henny pennies, didn't want to even believe that we would get this far. They always wanted doomsday because they want reason to justify their apathy. And what I want to get into today is the heart of why we can't afford your apathy. Because as much fun as it is to speculate about a possible Putin arrest and a possible Trump arrest one day, we will never be able to have that under our current systems. Because as much as the rule of law tries to work, it works against certain people heavy handedly, and it lets certain people feel like I'm above it. And until we start taking our role in the system seriously, until we start electing people that want to do the right things, we are going to be subjected to the doomsayers who feel like they're right when shit like this takes forever or doesn't happen at all. And yet, when another life, an innocent life, is lost to a justice system that allows shit like the article I read earlier about these LAPD motherfuckers literally drawing a swastika on a young man's car, or he might have been an older gentleman. I'm not sure from the article. I really can't stand the way some of these articles are written, but apparently it was enough for him to win a lawsuit against the county for this open face hatred, including finding very troublesome things on these officers' profiles and messages back and forth, which doesn't surprise anybody with a pulse at this point. Because they are just human beings who are full of disgusting ideologies that hide behind their badges. The reality of our world is hatred is a low hanging fruit. I don't never stop saying this. In fact, one of the things that I nodded to on Spoutable, and since Spoutable's been acting up on the studio, I grabbed this image. One of the things that Jerry spouted off, and I agreed with, was this quote by this, let me get this loaded up, because my eyesight is it's just lovely. The joys of getting old. Fran Lebowitz, she said, Trump allows people to express their racism and bigotry in ways that they haven't been able to in quite a while. And that they really love him for that. It's a shocking thing to realize that people love their hatred more than they care about their actual lives. And what I love about this quote from Jerf and from both Fran Lebowitz is anybody who keeps trying to understand the Trump effect or any kind of leans towards totalitarianism or just obedience. When you are conditioned to believe that your place in life are lesser, especially if you're a woman, I'm going to get to that in just a moment. If you're conditioned that your social status needs for you to feel better than other human beings, such as bigots versus anybody that doesn't identify straight white and allegedly Christian, when you have that superiority versus inferiority complex baked into your brain so deeply that any kind of hatred is a low hanging, tasty fruit for you, of course you will lean in to totalitarianism. But the dangers of this isn't just assholes like Trump exploiting it. Even though he got a good 4 years out of some of you, and are still fleecing some of you from money. The dangers are the separate states doing shit against mother maternity. These same people who claim to be right to life. Let me get to the main article for this because it pisses me off. It pisses me off because I thought we were living in a future where people were smarter, but we're not. We are literally living in the preemptive time before the handmaiden tales. And I know people think, oh, Tin, it's Texas. But it's not just Texas. And I'll get to the second article in a moment. But this article on Slate about Texas should give anybody with ovaries, whether you're a woman or somebody who identifies as trans but still has the ability to carry a child, it should give you pause these laws being written and drafted and passed in certain states. You can try to dismiss it as, oh, it's just happening in the South. Oh, it's just happening in the Midwest or places like Idaho. But it should matter because it can affect even states like ours that my governor and senators worked hard to not only protect women's rights to choose and LGBTQ rights, but it does come down to keeping those kind of people in charge of things. Because all it takes is people getting lax, not doing their part in voting for your state to fall into the hands of a DeSantis, fall into the hands of an Abbott. And Texas is literally hemorrhaging not only mothers who are carrying unviable fetuses and getting sick, because that is the only way for them to have legal abortive procedures now in Texas. But also doctors who don't want to get sued, don't want their family threatened, are hightailing it out of the state. And it's getting so bad in Idaho that they literally just had a hospital say, we will no longer deliver children in this hospital because it's too risky with the abortion laws, with the anti-abortion laws that the repeal of Dobbs has done to our nation. It's a scary time for any of us who can still carry children, and even those of you who cannot but need certain medications, who want to have certain procedures done, who just want to live your life because as a human being, you should be able, as a free citizen, make choices for yourself. But we have structured our society to play these games in regards to what it means to be male, what it means to be female. And those games have come back to collect, and we are paying a hefty toll for stupidity. Florida, because that state just never seems to want to give me a break from their fuckery. DeSantis decided we're going to post a new bill where children can't talk about menstruation. Because I don't know about you, but I remember on the playground back in the 80s, especially, where we all talked about our periods willy-nilly. Not really, but these fuckers are that stupid. But I do need to add the caveat that it was 5th grade when I got my first period. Because I don't think people understand that you can get your period as young as 10 or 11 years old if you're a girl. It just happens. It is a natural process of the body. But apparently in Florida, period cooties, these are grown men making these laws against young girls who are already going through some stuff with our bodies. And this is the kind of handmaiden bullshit that people turn their blind eye to. Oh, it won't be bad because it won't affect me directly. It won't be bad because it's just the South. Oh, these stupid southern states are suing our states for having the Jane Project yet again have to be revised to help women not die from procedures that they should be able to naturally get if they so choose or if they need it. This is the bullshit that we tried to warn you against, and you called us hyperbolic in 2015, 2016, when we warned you what they were actually after. But oh, it's just women's rights. Who cares? It's women's rights. And exactly, Beans, you can get your period as young as 7 in some cases. There's a notoriously historical issue where a 5-year-old child, and I remember the story because it happened well beyond modern times, back in, I believe, the 1930s or 40s, and it happened in South America, so I know a lot of people want to dismiss it as, oh, it happened there. But she was a 5-year-old girl that gave birth. So when I say that our bodies, we don't even fucking understand them, for some old white dude in Florida to make a law saying that young girls can't talk about menstruation, that we can't talk about something that naturally occurs in a human's body, that is some scary shit. And the fact that it's going on in states like Texas, states like Idaho, let me get that one up too, because a lot of people might think I'm being hyperbolic, and I am legitimately not being hyperbolic. This shit is for real. They are literally telling you as a hospital that we're not going to deliver any more babies. Why? Because delivering babies is dangerous for them. Delivering babies could pretty much put them into not only debt, but could, cause them more problems than it's worth. Let me bring up that article too, because it should give people pause. It really should. But sadly, there are too many people that don't want to take this seriously. And I will have all of these things linked, including the Minnesota law that had to be drafted against these states' nonsense. I'm going to unpack all of that today because it is sad. I almost took a break today again, y'all, because I am writing the second book. But I was so fired up talking to Greg about these ridiculous laws, about the fact that Idaho hospital has to deny delivering babies now because they are afraid of these stupid ass laws. When you ask yourself why your vote matters, why who represents you in the halls of Congress and your local elections matter, this is why. I know some of you think, well, we've got a president. What's he going to do about this? The president can only do so much. He is up against checks and balances. This is why we tell you, don't sleep on the midterms. Don't sleep on your local elections either, because all of these people can help draft policies like these don't say menstruation bills, don't say gay bills. The repeal of Dobbs was an orchestrated effort, and it took them years. So if you don't want to see any more of our rights to exist impacted, you have to take your civic duties seriously. I don't want to see women die on the table doing what we can naturally do. Giving birth is an amazing feature that I don't take lightly because there are some women who wanted to be able to do this that can't. There are some men who want to be able to do this but can't. I don't take for granted any of the abilities that I've been able to utilize, and I love being a mom, and I did not think I would at first. If you had asked me 20 years ago, before I had kiddo, Tim, you think you want to be a mother? Considering the way I grew up, considering the type of influences I had, no. I'm going to be 100%. I was not ready or mentally prepared at first. And then that child came into my life at a time that I really wasn't appreciating life. And it opened my eyes to it not being about me and to what I could do differently. And I don't act like I'm a perfect mom. I just try to be a good mom to him. I'm glad that I got the opportunity. But it was a nightmare having him. A nightmare of a medical system that literally let me go through a very painful, unnecessarily painful delivery. Of a hospital system that tried to charge me out the wazoo for something that shouldn't cost as much as it does, but it does. It was not a pleasant experience. Yet, if I had the chance to do it again, I would because I finally have a partner where I want to do it again. That is my choice. Just like there are plenty of women who choose to not be remotely interested in it, plenty of men that choose to not remotely be interested in it. The cool thing about being human that I don't think a lot of people understand because we're still trying to lean into this totalitarian bullshit where you be good little sheeps that get told what to do is that we are individuals. And what works for me doesn't have to work for anybody else. What works for people is on an individual basis. And I wish more of us would get that. I don't have to not like somebody because they chose to be child free. Or, like you just said, your cousin chose one child. And I almost did that. Honestly speaking, that might be my lot in life still. I have not taken it off the table because, like I said, I finally found a partner where I can even hint with the idea. But for the longest time, I thought I'll be a mother to one. Maybe I'll be a good grandmother one day. That was the whole hopes at first. Now I can actually planned with Greg for another child, that potential future. And I actually want it. But I also always want that choice just in case. Because I was the victim of sexual assault at a young age. And I made it clear to him. I don't care how people feel about the abortion issue. When you have had your body violated, the choice becomes, do I carry the child of somebody who forced themselves on me? Or do I take charge of my situation and not put myself and the child resulting of that through the scorn, through the fact that I would not be able to look at that person as a viable, lovable figure? And I say this as somebody who had a child with somebody who literally, verbally, and physically harmed me. There is levels. And I know that there are women. I have a friend who literally raised a child of the man who did that to her. They have a pretty cool relationship. That is her right to have picked that. I knew it couldn't be me. It takes a lot to love a child. When I look at kiddo, I don't see my ex. I got lucky with that. I wired my brain to realize that no matter what happened between him and I, it's not that baby's fault. But it is different when somebody does what happened to me when I was younger. I couldn't do it. It's not the same situation. And every situation is different. Every person is different. I want women to have the right, if they're put through that, to choose whether or not they want to carry and take care of that life. Because whether people understand it or not, pregnancy changes your body, not just hormonally, physically, and then the delivery can literally be life threatening. So I really don't take it lightly what we're doing when we do this. But far too many people in politics, especially non women people in politics, seem to want to dictate how we do it, tell us when we can do things, tell us how we can handle the situation. And you have never carried the child to term. So you need to keep your politics out of my uterus. I don't understand why these motherfuckers think that it's okay. But I am sick and tired of watching these states pass laws that are only going to cause more death. You can't call yourself pro life when you are literally driving doctors out of your state. When you are literally making it harder for mothers to have viable babies. When you are making hospitals choose to, nope, we're just not going to deliver children in this hospital anymore. It's too much of a liability. Who are you helping with these laws at this point? Because it's not the babies you claim to care about. It's definitely not the mothers who you think are just fuckable meat bags and baby incubators. Who are these laws for? The hubris of totalitarian states are the fact that they want obedient people. Doesn't matter if you die for your obedience, because you get to feel a bit better than a black person. You get to feel a bit better than an Asian or a native person or a Southeast Asian person. But it's an illusion. And they have sold so many of you on this illusion. That's why so many others are used, even though you don't openly indulge in bigotry, you indulge in apathy. Oh, I can't be bothered. It doesn't directly affect me, so why should I care about politics outside my state? Why should I even care about my local politics? It's been safe blue for you. A Republican took over. Well, it won't be so bad. I'm white. Your arrogance and attitude has cost us way too much. And now their whole anti woke crusade, which is laughable in itself. I was making Greg laugh earlier because of my little tirade. I was like, oh no, I'm the big woke boogeyman. I care about other people being able to live their life unchecked and unbound by other people's bigotry and hatred. I'm not worried about what two grown adults do in the privacy of their own home because I really don't want people bothering me like that. I want people to live and let live, and I realize what works for me doesn't have to work for everybody else. I just want people to be able to live comfortably in their own skin without having to deal with the specter of weirdo, pseudo religious motherfuckers hating on them. Oh, I'm the big bad boogeyman. It's tiring. It's insulting at this point because their woke, anti woke agenda is just them saying We want to hate on people because we don't like them, and we want you to be understanding of our hatred. And we just press back that your hatred's ignorance. It's keeping us back from what we should be doing collectively as a species. And we want to move forward. You're holding us back. We want to move forward. It is a tug of war of fuckery, and I am tired of it, honestly. It is exhausting constantly telling people to open their eyes. That what has bigotry done for you? It gives you a false sense of security, but not really. It leads you to do dumb, hateful shit that often ends you in jail. You're surrounded by angry people all the time. You're angry all the time. You're not feeling the satisfaction you think you are. It is like a temporary dopamine hit. You're no different than the addicts that you claim to look down upon, and some of you are that too. It is like crack for your brain, and you need to detox. Get away from it because it's not doing you any favors. Hatred has never served any purpose but destruction, and it's often the destruction of the person indulging in it. And all I want is more people to open their eyes to how I'm not asking you to kumbaya with everybody. I'm from New York, and I say this all the time. I was not built to like everybody. If you're overly perky or chipper, you're probably going to get on my nerves. If you're too melancholy, you're going to get on my nerves. I'm not going to act like I am everybody's BFF. I try to be civil to everybody that I interact with, especially on social media. But I'm not going to act like I'm cool with everybody. That's a fallacy. But what I'm not going to do is take that discomfort and go, I automatically don't like this person. They shouldn't have rights. That is a difference that a lot of people don't want to let go of because that is, for some reason to them, their societal power. And what they don't realize is as you're holding on to that little sliver of bigoted power, you're losing out on your right to be. You're losing out on your right to choose if you're a woman. You're losing out on economic possibilities. You're losing out on a world staying sustainable. So that if we did want to explore beyond our planet, if we just wanted to explore a planet, because we don't even really understand this rock we're on, we could do that collectively. But instead, let's fight over fossil fuels because those aren't exhaustible. Sarcasm. Let's fight over differences of opinion. Let's fight over differences of look. Let's fight over differences of culture. Let's do everything but come together as a species and realize that we've been fighting for centuries now, and all that's gotten us is this dance of death. And we move further into a technological based future where we can see the fallacies of all of this, yet we still let the loudest, most ignorant masses dictate. And I don't blame your beans. We all had that one friend that would be like, I love the mornings and early New York, bagel in your mouth, sitting there looking at them like, I don't. Please shut up. That was a clear memory for me, especially in high school. Because high school, we had to get up super early, the commute, tons of buses just to get to school. And the last thing I needed was the perky ass friend that always felt happy to be up in the morning. I'm just like, I don't want to be here. I just want to be asleep. And that is my life in a nutshell. If I'm awake and I'm not writing, I want to be back to sleep. I'm honestly, it's tiring. You wake up to a world where they devalue your skin color, they devalue your gender, they tell you that it's okay to hate somebody based on their sexual orientation, and all of this unnecessary hatred because honestly speaking, it really is easy to be in that mentality. I wish I couldn't understand why people fall so easily into its trappings. But when you don't have to think and you're just going feel based, oh yeah, it's real easy. One of the things that I say about social media that I had to literally deprogram my brain from, especially from the stale Bert side, was not everything has to be a fight. I see it trying to creep up on Spoutable. That's why I did my little part and shot earlier today. Because I see the types trying to call the manager on Christopher Boozy. Christopher made Spoutable for several reasons. I can't say I know all of them, but one of the main reasons was he was constantly being attacked on Twitter based on his work with Bot Sentinel, based on his investigative journalism against the hate of Meghan Markle and VP Harris. He has a lot of harpies, and that's what I'm going to call these little heifers, going after his character, constantly shit talking him. So if he wants to go on the site that he created and talk shit back and highlight certain tweets from people who are very nasty, that's his right. The fact that you've got, especially white men, because it was a white man's spout that I saw complaining about how I don't know if I'm going to stay on here because Christopher's causing drama. And it's like, he's not causing drama. He is highlighting what he doesn't like about certain people who have attacked him for years now, and that is his right. And you do realize that it is your right to just not see. You can eliminate certain words if you don't want to mute or block C Boozy himself. Or you can just do as I do. He's talking about somebody I don't care about, keep it moving. But some of you want to just police how people spout, how people interact online, and you have got to get over yourselves. You are not the content cops of social media. You want to treat everything like, I don't like this, so I need to make it where I like it. And it's like, when I don't like something, I just don't fuck with it. I don't have the energy to tell people constantly, hey, I didn't like what you said. It's like, okay, why'd you read it? You didn't like what I said, you could keep it moving. I learned that on Twitter after years of arguing with people, years of inserting myself when somebody said something stupid for obvious attention. I refuse to let Spoutable exhaust me like that. So when I see people on Spoutable already trying this against the person who made it possible because you just don't happen to like what they say, there is a whole thing you need to learn about life. Even your best friend is going to one day say something that you're going to look at them like, ew, I don't agree with that. Because guess what? We're not the same beings. Guess what? We're allowed to have differences of opinion based on how we grew up, based on our cultural stuff, based on who we are as people. We are not the Borg. And yes, it does feel good when our ideologies and our feelings somewhat line and sync up, but it's never going to be 100% because we are not the same person. So my advice to any of you online who get the vapors every time somebody happens to say something different from you, unless it is an obvious attack on vulnerable people or yourself, walk away. Not everything has to be a fight. Not everything has to be drama that you need to assert yourself in. But some of you really do enjoy the drama and you just want to highlight it. Or you just want to be the main character. And I don't understand that at all. I don't understand why what Christopher is doing to deal with the people who've bullied him for years has anything to do with you. If you don't want to be on Spoutable, don't be on Spoutable. But I am sick of not calling out the certain demographic that want to try to take this site down because you see how well it's doing. You're not fooling anybody with these spouts. It's sickening. You don't have to let it move on. There are plenty of us who will keep it running without you. But some of you don't even want to do the groundwork in the shows. Complaining about, oh, it doesn't have these features yet. I was on Twitter when you could literally customize your own page because they didn't know what they wanted to do. Could add your own pictures so that your page scrolled with it. I was a legit beta tester. We didn't have half the features that Musk is tanking currently. There was no add-in videos. There were barely any add-in pictures or any of that stuff. That came later. So if you want that stuff to eventually come to Spoutable, you have to keep interacting. You have to stop letting these prima donnas have their hissy fits about, oh, it's too much drama. I have yet to see any of the drama that these people claim. But I don't run around circles where that's necessary. Most of the people who have beef with me on Twitter have rightfully avoided me on Spoutable because they don't want that. They know I'm not going to play those games with them. A lot of them know I have their number. And those who unfortunately try to wander my way, verbally smack them right back into place. I'm not playing the same games I played on Twitter with people acting foolish. It's not worth the burnout. Social media should be fun. Right now it is. But I see how some Debbie Downers are trying to bring it down, and I wanted to call that crap out because I like Spoutable. I like that we have a new site that's easier to understand. No offense to Mastodon, but setting up my own channel or network or whatever that was a lot harder than I liked it to be. And joining the Pokemon one, I thought it'd be cutesy. I don't even talk to anybody in it. I don't understand it, so I was like, you know what? Nope. I got my account. I'll let it fester. I can't deal with it. Post has gotten a lot better. They finally got a dark mode, but there's just something about it that just doesn't grasp me to be on it every day the way Spoutable does. I don't know if it's the character limit. I don't know if I see way more of my friends on Spoutable than I've done Post. A lot of people have followed me on Post. I don't recognize a lot of the names on there, so it's just like, oh, okay. It's kind of like Twitter got towards the end. Out of all the people that I interacted with daily, there were plenty that I knew were just hate follows. They followed to see when I was going to step in it. And how do I know? Because I watched them do it to other people. Plenty of big names that the moment they fucked up in the tweet, these were like sharks in the water. And I know I'd seen DMs. Some of yous loved to tattle to me too, which was annoying. I'm gonna be 100% honest. People that came to me in DMs, this person's talking shit about you, let them. I don't care. They're talking shit about me. It's not the other way around. And people never understood that about my attitude. They thought they were going to get me fired up by showing me DMs of some idiot talking shit about me. Okay. I don't care. I'm in their head rent free. That's the brilliance of sociopathy that I didn't understand when I was younger, that some people like to warn against, but I enjoy it. I enjoy the fact that I can make somebody mad just being me enough for where they gotta run to people in DMs. And these people will always turn back and tell on you. So I don't know why you think you're doing it in confidence. I'm telling you right now, let it go. If you got to beef with me, fine, but it's going to be one sided because I don't legitimately give a fuck. I will not remember you if we end a friendship. I will probably not remember you and if we don't end the friendship and we fight because I am full on cut you off to protect my peace mode. I've done it with family. I've done it with friends who are like family. It is the way I am the older I get. Ain't no relationship worth the stress. None. So if you've got to have an argument that you gotta win or something you gotta settle with me, congrats, you won. Move on. I'm not going to give you what you want. Some of the things that burnt people, especially towards the end of the Stale Bird app, as I like to call it, that arc in my life on the site that shall not be named, was people getting mad at me because I wouldn't jump into certain fights, because I wouldn't respond to their obvious taunts. But how much more verbal shit do you need out of me? I don't respect you if you're a Bernie brat. I don't respect you if you're open MAGA. I don't respect you if you're openly hateful. What dialogue do you expect out of me? Do you want me to go, oh no, you gotta believe like I believe? I'm not stupid enough to believe anything I could say would open your eyes. You are entrenched in your feelings. So why should I waste my limited energy in life arguing with morons who want this, who want to hate? That doesn't make sense for me. Exact, especially the sea lions. Well, let's move the goalpost over. What about this issue, Ten? You don't want, you made a good point, but what about this issue? I don't care about either of those issues. I had a dude do that to me once. We were talking about the economy. And some people tend to forget that I went to school for business, went to school for economics. I did not finish, so I'm not going to lie like the Republicans and act like I got a degree in it. My degree is in medical coding and billing, but I still studied it because it was a field that I had been interested in. I took a job in the field as well. So when I come at you with talks of economics, especially financial security, it's something I take seriously. So it was about 5 years ago on the app that shall not be named that I was engaged with this guy because he wanted to have a serious conversation, or so I thought, about economics, because he wanted to talk about why he was supporting Trump. So I broke it down to him why certain policies wouldn't work, why the man's financial histories didn't work, my own background in it, and he reduced the argument to the typical, you're an N word, why am I engaging with you? Because he did not want to have a conversation. He just wanted to seem like he was smarter. And then when he realized he was up against somebody who knew what they were talking about and he couldn't talk his way out of circles, he devolved into, you're an N word. Like he's the total bird that shits on the tape on the chessboard, basically. And that is when I realized I don't want to keep arguing with people like this. I don't want to have dialogue with people like this. They don't want to have actual real conversations. They just want to feel right about something and call somebody a slur. Because life has really done them dirty. Kid gloved them throughout society to the point where they don't know how to handle real life. And then, even worse yet, they can't feel better than humanity without putting somebody down. They can't feel like decent people without having somebody to feel above. That superiority complex of theirs is all in their head. And the whole idea that somebody's inferior to them because of their gender being supposedly weaker, because of their skin tone being darker or whatnot, that's all mental. But until they realize that they need to let that go and move on with us, I'm not here to help them. I'm not here to counsel them, and I'm definitely not here to argue with them. And if you want to do that, if that gets you your dopamine hit, fine. I'm not here to police y'all's shit either anymore, because I was doing that towards the end and I had to check myself. I realized that it is not my place to tell people how to enjoy social media. If it gets on my nerves or you try to tag me in, that's when I'm going to call your ass out. Don't bring me into your drama. Don't bring me into your mess. If I insert myself, then fine. But I noticed that people got mad at that too. I stopped doing that. It was no longer interesting to me. I don't have it in me. Life is short. I'm 45 now, hopefully get to 46. But I have friends who did not get to make it this far. And I don't just mean the ones I lost last year. Over the years, I have seen way more death than I want to even think about. Deaths as young as when I was in junior high. From stupid shit like gun violence. My one friend died in a car accident, and the way I was told about it still haunts me because it was so matter of fact. Like, oh, by the way, she was in a car where her older sister, the car flipped and she didn't make it. Not something you want to hear at 13, but casually told to me. So I'm used to bad news, but it doesn't mean I shouldn't take the life that I have seriously. I know nothing's promised, and I know because of that, I want to make the best of the limited time I have on here. I want to do fun things, creative things. I want to enjoy life with the people that want to enjoy life with me. And I don't want to keep exhausting my energy on people deciding that their fun in life is to be harmful and hateful. Their fun in life is to make women feel like the only way we can survive is in some weird regime where you can't talk about your menstruation and where you can literally die holding in a non viable human in your body. I don't want to live in a society that continues this kind of fuckery. But I'm only one person. So doing my part in voting, speaking up with these Bonnet Chronicles, making sure that you know what yous can do is what I'm trying to do. And I'm hopeful that as more people tune into these, because I've seen it, I've seen the positive comments, I've seen the people leaving feedback, I've seen all of your stuff, and I appreciate it. But I need you to work with me. Don't just nod your head while listening. Do your part. I know Beans does her part. One of the things that really gelled me to talking to you was some of the political back and forth. Because not only do we have a lot of similar backgrounds growing up with family stuff, especially, but our ideology on pragmatism aligned a lot. with I don't have to be a fan of somebody for them to get the work done. I don't have to be a cheerleader for a politician to understand what's at stake if I don't do my part. You and I have always had that kind of mentality of, hey, we got to get this done. Nobody else is going to do this shit for us. And if we don't, we always end up kicked in our ass. And I think when you have that mindset and you go forth in both politics and life, you realize that you can survive just about anything. But we shouldn't have to keep getting tested because other people want to be apathetic. Just because we do our jobs in voting, making sure we know who represents us, doesn't mean the rest of you get to slack off. I want more people that are on board with us, that can sit with us. Because that table isn't shortened by any means. But I am keeping fake ass fuckers from just being able to slide up and act like you can sit with us. Don't act like we can't see them poll numbers. Don't act like we don't know these voting report cards are pretty much in the D's, if not C's or F's for some of you who don't feel like getting out to your local election because you don't see the importance in it until your state has shit like this. To your hospitals is saying, well, sorry, we can't deliver any babies. Or even better yet, like this Minnesota law had to be drafted. Let me see if I can find this really quick. Because this is the shit that we have to now do in states to defend against this. Oh, I think I might have accidentally gotten rid of it. But basically, it was the state of Minnesota drafting legislation so they don't get sued for helping people from Texas, Florida, Arkansas, Idaho, and other fucking idiotic states that want to restrict women's rights to choose in their 6-week heartbeat bills, which are basically just abortion bans. We now have to draft legislation so where if a woman comes seeking sanctuary to get a necessary medical procedure, we don't get sued in our states. That is the fucking mess that totalitarianism does. And if you don't want to see this on a national level, we have to be more pragmatic. I know it feels good when you like a politician. I voted for Barack Obama. I remember how I felt at first when he first ran because I didn't know who he was. And then listening to him talk, being just drawn in by not only his passion and eloquence, but by feeling like he could probably do this. Yes, we can became my mantra. And I supported him. I wasn't devoted. I didn't have bumper stickers. Matter of fact, the only politician that I have a sticker of currently is Kamala Harris because I liked her sticker. But I am not some devotee to any politician. I can support what they do, laws they pass, and how they handle themselves depending on harm reduction, depending on how good they are for us in whole. It's one of the reasons why I support President Biden. He might not have been my top 3 even back in the Democratic primaries in 2018, 2019. But when he won, I got behind him. I got behind his presidential run and I voted for him. And I will support him in 2024 because he has been cleaning up a shit ton of messes and keeping us steady, even though the henny pennies and the doomsayers want to cry otherwise. We have been able to steadily move forward. Has it been an easy run? No, because we still have a lot of fuckery to clean up. We still have a lot of fallout that we will be feeling the effects of because of 45. But it's not the end of the world because we worked together. And if we continue this on a national level and on a local level, and especially on a state by state level, we can show assholes like DeSantis that you had a fun run, but now it's done, Ron. You need to go. We can show Abbott the same. We can show K.I.'s. We can show that motherfucker in Mississippi who likes to act like dirty water for his citizens is not a big deal. And if you don't think that shit can happen, we were literally being run by the GOP here in Michigan. Flint is still the butt of people's jokes because of how bad the water crisis was there. We had bad government and we showed them the door. It was the same in North Carolina. McCrory just knew, oh, I could push bigotry. I could push my anti-trans bill and everybody will be behind me. And then the state lost hundreds of millions of dollars because of their bigotry. And North Carolina said, you know what? Roy Cooper won't be bad for us. Let's get rid of this McCrory guy. So if you don't think Florida can be turned, Texas came pretty damn close to being turned. And I still think Beto came a lot closer than people give him credit for. I think Chris came a lot closer than people give him credit for. Because people only seem to care about a win. They don't care about the gerrymandering. They don't care about the apathy that works for a certain demographic. But we need to get out of our head that there's no such thing as a winnable state. Because when we work together, we can see that happen. I truly believe that the shit that's going down currently in Florida, Texas, Idaho, Arkansas, too many states as it is, are going to start making people realize that I don't want this. I want to be able to choose when I give birth, and I don't want to die trying to do that. I want women to have the choice whether they want to be moms or not. I want full body autometry, and I think that we could see a future where that happens. But it takes those of you who love to act like you give a fuck for hearts and lights on social media, translating that to viable political actions. And I don't even understand why that's too much for some of you. Because a lot of you are in states now that have mail-in ballots, absentee ballots, if you still don't want to risk standing in line. Some of you love taking selfies at protests, but you're not going to take that same selfie standing in line doing your civic duty, which in turn can help you with so much. I don't understand the mentality that you can be apathetic towards something that could literally help with harm reduction, literally help your rights as a citizen, your rights to choose, your rights to protect yourself if that's your thing. But yet you act like the sky is falling when bad happens. Because let me tell you something, even under a good presidency, bad things happen. Even under one of the best presidents of my lifetime, we still have wars, we still had sickness, we still had rampant hatred. A president is not a magical elixir to people's stupidity, and humanity seems too entrenched in both greed and hatred to ever get their system checked. All we can ask of any president is to try to guide us through our own levels of entitlement and fuckery. And you have seen after the fallout of 45 that a bad president can only exacerbate and make things worse. A good president can help us through even the roughest times, through climate and financial issues, through our own, like I said, entitlement issues. And if you want better on a state-by-state basis, we have to get our shit in gear. Stop blaming the DNC like it's this big organization boogeyman. Stop ignoring the fact that way too many people in a certain demographic want to be anti-government unless the government's harming people. It is on us. But I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. Beans, thank you so much for sitting in. I appreciate you. I just want people to start understanding your part in this because they are coming hard for us. And we are seeing it with these weird abortion laws that are just going to add up a body count. Women and children are going to be the ones that suffer from this. And if you don't want that to be the case, you really need to do your part and vote. And I appreciate that, Beans. I really do. Everybody who votes is guaranteed a spot by my table because I honestly believe that you are doing the best thing for yourself and beyond. And a lot of people think, it shouldn't matter. Why should it matter? It matters. We have seen with these states rolling back our rights how much it matters. But I will be back on Friday with more of this. Thank you so much for sitting in. We will definitely be back on next Tuesday's Bonnet Chronicles 2 because kiddo gets spring break. So that means I get my desk for a week and it's going to be nice. I'll be able to do my creative stuff at the desk without having to wait for him to be finished with school. But But I definitely enjoyed sitting in with this, and I will definitely be back Friday night with a full-on Bonnet Chronicles again. Beans, thank you so much again for sitting in, and I will see y'all soon.